Hello all, my name is Scott Grove of Groovy Music Lessons. Today we are doing a little lesson that is called Guitar Chords Beyond the Third Fret. It is simply what it implies. Most of y'all, cowboys, cowgirls, or rock and rollers, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether you play electric or an acoustic electric like this one. It is all about guitar. If you are tired of sitting there playing chords between the first, second, and third fret, D, G, A, and you know who you are. you know all these songs have 3 chords in them, but you're never playing way up here. This does not mean that you have to be Eddie Van Halen or whatever and playing all this lead guitar stuff. This is about chords. This is not about lead guitar, even though I will show you a few little lead guitar things that you can play within these chords. Okay, so I'm teaching you more than just chords. So there's a lot more bang for the buck here than anybody will ever give you. And I will teach this to you quicker than anybody on the face of the planet. You can pretty much ask anybody in the world. Check out all my feedback everywhere. I teach more people quicker, better, faster, stronger than anybody in the entire world. That's what I pride myself on. I've played with the biggest names around, and I know how to get you there quicker than anybody. Now, the main thing that is the problem is you get all these famous or non-famous people, and they go through their entire life. It doesn't matter whether they're 80, it doesn't matter, but they seem to just be stuck right there in that 3 chord area, that 3 fret space. But guess what? Your guitar goes all the way up to here. You've got like another 20 frets to go here. So it's fine if you got a couple 2-3 chords behind your belt and a capo and you're content with that. Well, if you were content with that, you wouldn't be buying this video or considering it or already have it. Either way, you're still going to see the same intro, whether you're on the video or whether you're just checking it out. So anyway, I'm going to teach you how to play. It's not a bunch of new chords. These are chords that you pretty much already know, but it's how to play them over the entire neck, and the learning curve on this is so minimal that within 1 week you will be able to play better and know more and have learnt more in that 1 week than you have in the past 10 years. I promise you, or I'll give you your money back and you keep the video. I don't care. I'm that sure of it, and I'm that sure of all my videos. So if you are that person playing right down here and nowhere else, there's a lot more guitar to be explored and a lot of great sounds to be had. Okay, just for example, D, G, and A chords. Okay, guess what? Those can be played all over the neck. There's like 10 different places you can play those and more. And I'll show you all of them, and it won't take any time at all. Check it out. Here's D, and G, and A, and D, and D, and G, and A, and D, and D, and G, and A, and D, and D, and G, and A, and D. And coming backward, it don't matter. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to play all of these chords all over the guitar. If you want to be able to play an E flat or B flat, chords or keys that you didn't think you would ever be able to play in, I'm going to show you how to do that so easily, and you will never even have to go chord hunting. So you won't have to say, gosh, what chord comes after E flat or B flat? Look, here's B flat. Then next, somewhere else. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to play these everywhere, and I will show you these different inflections. That's my big word for the day. All that little stuff that Okay, so I'll show you how to throw all that stuff in too. Okay, so that's it. Guitar chords beyond the 3rd fret. Very easy stuff. If you can play your basic chords, nothing major fancy. If you can play an F chord, put it that way. If you have an F chord down pat, you are qualified for this video. Okay? So, once again, I am Scott Grove of Groovy Music Lessons. This is guitar chords beyond the 3rd fret. So, we're going way up there, kids. So, again, if you don't dig it, you get your money back. You keep the video and you can use it for a really shiny drink coaster. Okay? So, so just get it, grab it. It's the best thing that you're going to have happen to you in a long time that is legal. Okay, so grab the video and don't look back, cause and you're getting ready to throw your capo in the trash too. So give it to your niece, nephew, somebody else. You're not going to need it anymore. So catch you on the big stage. Talk to you in a little bit. Okay, bye. Okay, this is all you're going to be seeing of me for pretty much the rest of the video. Okay, from here on out, I'm going to show you the D, G, and A chords that I was talking about on the intro, and how to take these all the way up the neck. Okay, when you are typically doing your D chord, okay, I'm going to show you how to play this thing all over the neck, and your G chords and your A chords all over the neck. I'm going to do these in groups of 3, and then we'll do a new group of 3, a new group of 3, a new group of 3, and add little fun things in with them as we go, and then learn how to tie them all together. So you're playing instead of just D, G, A, you're going to be doing D but in a different way. G, A, D, G, A, D, G, A, D, G, A, D. Okay, so it's going to be basically that easy. Okay, now here's what we have to do. Okay, you already know how to play a D chord, correct? Make sure, number 1, that you're in tune with me. I'm not going to sit here and make you go me, and tune up. Okay, so basically here is your D chord. Just make sure you're tuned up with me. I assume that you have an electronic guitar tuner. If you don't, you really should have one. Okay, and your G chord. And your A chord. And D. Okay, so you should be in tune with me if you already know how to play guitar, which, of course, I told you, you should already know how to play a few chords, so you should know how to tune your guitar too. Okay, now your D chord, I am going to change this on you. And beyond this particular change, you're all good for this set of chords all the way up the neck. Okay, so instead of this, we're going to do this slightly different. We're actually going to end up doing this chord. Okay, it's exactly the same. What you're going to do is use your first finger, or your index finger, and bar it, which means to lay it across 3 strings, your G, B, and E strings. So just like that. Okay, so if you play all 3, you would have that. Okay, to finish up the chord as a regular D chord, you would actually only need to put your middle finger on the B string at the 2nd fret. Then you could play all 4 strings, starting with your D string all the way down. And it would sound like your regular D chord. Okay, so now that we're here, I want you to get rid of the open D string. And I actually want you to use your ring finger and put it on the 4th fret, okay, of the D string. And now play all 4 strings. Okay, this is something new for you to get used to. Beyond this, there is nothing new to get used to. Okay, as far as this whole set of chords all the way up to the 22nd fret if you have that many on your guitar. I'm going to take you all the way up there because, like I said, it doesn't matter whether you're playing an acoustic or an electric. This is about chords going all the way up the neck. So I'm not going to deny people who have more fret access because they have a nice cutout like this. A lot of acoustic guitars have these days, so we're going to go all the way up there. For the rest of you, grab a longer guitar, would you? No, you're going to be fine no matter how much space you have. You'll just know this for future reference, or whenever you grab a different guitar that belongs to someone else, or you grab one just because you want to play way up there for whatever reason. Okay, so now we're back to our new D chord, played this way. Okay, and I'm going to explain one other thing while we are here. This is just for future reference, okay? Already I'm going to swap things up on you. I do this a lot, so pay attention. And please, 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 don't think I'm going too fast. That is what your rewind, your pause button, all that stuff is for. Okay? So use them, and don't move on until you have whatever it is I'm teaching you pretty much down pat. Okay? So we have our new D chord. If we were to add just one more note, what do we have left to work with? Well, our thumb's busy back here holding on to the neck, so we have our pinky left. If you were to take that pinky, put it right there on basically the only place you could possibly reach, and I know this is impossible at the moment, impossible seeming, but it is so rewarding and you will use this forever. That's right, put it on the 5th fret now of your A string and play the whole thing. This will make an entire D chord. Okay, now if you take this whole thing, move it back up this way, 2 frets, you'll realize all you have is a C chord. It's a regular C chord, but it's like if you were to chop off your first finger, God forbid. But it's no different than a C chord, moved up 2 frets. And then if you were to put a capo right there, it's the same thing. So if you look at it now, and actually, I don't know, just put your finger across like it's a capo, then build a C chord around it, now you have a D chord. Move it up 1 more fret, you're in E flat. Move it up again, you're in E. Move it up again, you're in F. Then F sharp. Then G. Then G sharp. Hey, guess what? We're already past the 3rd fret. Amazing. Okay. Right off the bat, we were at the 4th fret, just with the pinky. So I kept my promise. We are past the 3rd fret. We are beyond the 3rd fret. Okay. So just remember that that's all this new chord is. It's just a shortened up version of a C chord with a capo on it. Make sense? It was a regular C chord you've been playing your whole life, or for your whole 2 minutes that you've been playing, whichever it may be. All it is moving it up 2 frets, then adding a capo, which is your finger, then having to use different fingers. But right now we're getting rid of the pinky, so back to normal. Okay, so this is all I need you to work on. Like I said, I'm going to throw all kinds of stuff at you, so be prepared to hit it, knock it out of the park. Okay, so we're just concentrating on 4 strings. Your D string all the way down to your E string. Okay? Okay, this may seem difficult at first, just like any new chord. Remember when you first learned the F chord? How hard that was? This is no different. So if it takes you a half hour to sit in front of the TV and watch Jeopardy and learn how to go, then so be it. Go watch Jeopardy. Turn this off and go watch Jeopardy now. Sit there and do that. And do it anywhere. I don't care where you do it. Do it here, there. I don't care where you play it at. But right now in D, we are here. Okay. Now for the next 2 chords, as I told you in the intro, as long as you know how to play an F chord, you are going to be okay in this video. Okay. So the next 2 chords are going to be F chords. Okay, so they're actually what we're going to work on all the time in this entire video are chord shapes. So we are going to not actually play an F chord. we are going to play a chord that is shaped like an F chord. So you just take your regular F chord, okay, which for those who may not know is barred. Again, that means one finger covering more than one string at the first fret, covering your E and B string, and then you're adding your middle finger at the second fret on the G string, then your ring finger at the third fret of the D string. Okay, that's your typical F chord for anybody who needs it. Okay, so that is the shape of the F chord. If you take that F chord and move the whole thing, every finger, one fret up. And remember, this is always up. People think, which way is down, which way is up? This way is up, cause get it. Check this out. Okay, you've probably been saying it wrong the whole time. You have to have a 50-50 chance. But listen, your notes go up. So that's going up the neck. If it's going down the neck, the sound goes down. So you've probably been saying it wrong this whole time. Okay, so if you have your F chord and you move it up one fret, that is F sharp. Then one more is G. Okay? Okay. Now if you go up one more, it's G sharp. One more is A. So we're just using an F shape. Okay? So what three chords do we need again? D, G, A. So if you're doing your normal D, G, A, now we have to use the three new chords we learned. What new chords? Well, D, G, A, back to D. Okay, so you are on D, the new funky chord that's so hard to play. Now G, which is just the F shape, moved up here. So you're at your third fret, fourth fret, your fifth fret. So that is your G now. So we have D, G, still playing the same four strings. D, G, now A is just moving up 2 frets. Okay? So this is a big lesson. Most everything I teach you, okay, with all these 3-chord songs, this is the way most songs are. And this is going to be an easy way for you to find most things. After the first chord, then whenever we change to the next chord, like to the G, all you're ever going to have to do, no matter what shape we're using to get to the next chord, is move it up 2 more frets. So plan on that. Okay, so it don't matter if you're doing oldies, okay, so you can use that to get used to it. Or anything you want. You can sit here and play. So now you have these new things to work on, but already we're up to the 7th fret, right there. Okay, so again, I've kept my promise. We are past the 3rd fret. Okay, this is the first movement of this. Okay, now do not forget what came before all of this. You're like, well, what came before? Well, what came before this were the 3 chords that you already knew. The D, G, and A. I especially want you to pay attention now to the A chord that you originally knew, which could have been this way, with 3 fingers doing 2nd fret, 2nd fret, 2nd fret on the D, G, and B strings. And some of you might just put 1 finger barring across it. But you just don't hit the high E string, or maybe you bend your finger like that and you can make it happen. But I want you to use the 1 finger, okay? For pretty much the whole you can tell I used to live close to Kentucky back in Indiana, huh? For this whole video, how's that? I might as well talk plain for you if I'm going to charge you to take lessons. Okay, it's the least I can do. Okay, so we have D, the new D. We have G. Now remember our old A. Okay, so there's our old A. But what do we do now? Back to D. Huh? What do you do? Okay, therein lies one of the main secrets of this video. Is going from the A shape, no matter where it was at, it just happens to be an A this time, and then we go to putting these two fingers back on. So back to the 3rd fret on the B string and the 4th fret on the D string. Okay, so we had D, G, then A, and then back to D. So you have a choice now from going to D, to G, to this A, or this A. Depending on if you want to go from back to A, if you're going back to G before you go to the D, or if you were going to go from D to G to A back to D. So you got to think of where you're going to get ready to go to. Are you going back to the G before you go to the D, or are you just going straight from the A to the D? Okay, so you have choices now. And this also will bring upon, I told you I was going to teach you some cool little things within everything. So we might as well put a couple in right away. Okay, so you have your first set of chords. Your D, your G, your A, and your A, and a way back to your D. Okay, so if you're in D, okay, you have all kinds of things you can get ready to do. Now you go to G, okay, the thing that's going on here, and remember this is always great, and anytime you're using the F shape, whatever fret that your ring finger is on, you can put your pinky on all the remaining strings underneath it, okay, on the same fret. So we are on the 5th fret with our ring finger, so we can add the pinky at the 5th fret on the high E string, then take it off, or on the B string, or the G string. Okay, so knowing that, now you can do, while you're in G, and guess what, when you go to A, okay, you can do the same thing. Of course, it's exactly the same. So you only have to learn this once, and then you can play it anywhere you want. Okay, so you did it in G. Okay. It's just a matter of what you want to do with this knowledge. Then you bring it up 2 frets to A, and then when you're in A, think about this too. Always be thinking, okay, do I have any open strings I can play? Well, now that you're in A, you can play the open A string. Now all of a sudden the chord sounds huge. It's not all twinkly like this. If you want this to be bigger, you've got a thumb, you can wrap it right over the top and grab that G note. Then when you go up to A, you can get rid of it and play an open A string. Or you can put your thumb there. It don't matter. It's just music. Do whatever you want. But put your finger, your pinky, all I'm doing there, that's quite a reach, but if you want to go up 2 more frets with your pinky on the high E string, you can. So from the 7th fret to the 9th fret, work on it. Everybody can do it. It seems like your fingers won't get there, but they can, and everybody, if you have a pinky, some people don't, and I'm sorry about that. I've cut this finger completely off before, no lie. I'm glad to have it back, trust me. Okay, so those are your first 4 chords. And the next 3 and 4 chords will be the same, and the next ones will be the same, and the next ones will be the same. Okay, because I'm going to teach you how to play those all the way up the neck. And this is going to tie the whole guitar together. You're going to use every fret on your guitar, not just these. Okay, so that is the first set. Now we're going to go at a much quicker pace. This is where you will be using and expected to use your rewind and your pause. Okay, so we have D, G, A, the new A. Okay, we're back to D. What I do? Huh? What? Huh? We're going to use that A shape. So that one, that's going to be our new D. Okay, so we just went from here, D, G. Now here's the cool part. Here's what ties it together. Here's A. Look where, again, where this ring finger is. It is on the 7th fret. That is where your new D chord is going to be. But it's going to be shaped like an A chord with the one finger. That's why I told you we're going to do one finger. So again, D, G, A. Now where that finger there is, we're going to switch it up. Bring your first finger to there. Pay no attention to the fact that my guitar has 2 dots here and on the 12th fret. Don't let that throw you off. It's just some guitars do, some don't. Some have pictures of birds and some have whatever on there. This one happens to have 2 dots here, but only 1 dot on the side, and then the 2 dots are here. Why? Who knows? It's just decoration. So let's concentrate on what we're at. So D, G, A, and now finally back to D again. Okay, and we're only playing those 3 notes, or those 3 strings, the D, G, and B strings. Okay? Okay, now we're going to play 3 new chords. But are they actually new? No, they're exactly the chords that we've already played. Okay, so this is going to be really quick. So now we have D, now we're going to do D, G, A. Again, so here's D. How do we do G? Remember when we were back here doing the A, and I went go from A to D by adding those 2 fingers? Just like we're making the original D, the very first thing of this lesson? Well, that's all you have to do for this next part. Okay, so we are on D now, at the 7th fret. Now G, you just put down those same 2 fingers again. That's your G chord. You can play all 4 strings. And what I tell you, when you want to go to A, the next chord, move it up 2 frets. So you move up 2 frets. So D, G, by putting those same 2 fingers down. Now A, just up 2 frets. Back to G, back to D. What? Huh? That's just, you've heard that before, you just didn't know how to do it. So D. Those are called hammer-ons. You play it once, and you hammer your fingers on there like they are hammers. You don't pick it anymore. So, again, go watch another episode of Jeopardy and try to do that. Play a D chord, 3 fingers, or 3 strings, 3 fingers. And hammer it on. Listen and watch my picking hand and this hand. Okay, now what you can actually always do here, and I told you I was going to teach you little things as we go. You can do these same notes. Okay, anytime you are in an A shape, okay, like this with 1 finger, you can play those 2 notes, that note, and the other note you had here. Okay, those are notes, and going right back to that A shape, you can just put those notes on because they work like this. Okay, but you can also do the other one that is right below your ring finger again. Okay, so you have this note, then the next one, and then, see what I'm doing there? So it's these notes, plus you can add the one more, which is from 7th fret to the 9th fret on the G string. So same as you're doing on the D, exactly. And you only have to learn this one time because you can play it this way everywhere. Okay, and you will find this out over the course of the lesson. Okay, so you don't have to play lead like that right now, but know that you can. Okay, so that's just a little something extra for you. And you can play it in your chords. If you're playing your D chord here, okay, it's instant melody right there. Okay, so you can do all kinds of cool things. If you're finger picking, doing this, that's where it gets really cool. Okay, so you can see where this is going, huh? Pretty cool. Okay, so again, back to the basics of this. I told you I'm going to throw in all kinds of stuff, and I'm gonna. So there you go. I'm going to do this one more time, then we're going to cruise. Okay, so you got D, G, move it up to A, back to G, and back to D. Now again, from the beginning, remember what we did before. Always remember the last chord. In this case, we're doing D, G, A. So remember the A chord that we did last. Okay, so we did D, G, A, but we were using an F shape, correct? Now we're doing D, G, and A, but we're using different shapes. We're using the A shape, then kind of our weird looking D or a C shape, whichever you want to call it. It's basically a C shape because remember I told you it's like a capo with a C chord. Okay, but you're at D, G. Now let's use the A, but back to the F shape. Back to D. You're like, huh? Remember that. Again, D from the beginning, G, A. Now if you want to, you can flatten it out. Okay, instead of taking A, then having to move the one finger way up here right away, you can do the A, and then just flatten out your ring finger, okay? As you're changing places with the new finger. Check that out. Then D, G, then you can do the A again, but as an F-looking chord. Okay, maybe you won't like the particular sound of that A chord. You might want to do this. So D, G, and then this A, and then back to this G, and back to this D instead. Whatever you want to do. It's your guitar. Do whatever you want. I'm just showing you how to make your way up the neck, and then we'll work our way down the neck. So there you go. Remember what you did before. Okay? And pretty soon you will have all of these memorized. Okay, you're like, okay, that's D, that's G, that's A, and that's G, and that's D. Okay, all of a sudden, by golly, we just went all over the place. D, G, A, D, A, G, G, D. You see what I did there? D, G, A, G, D, G, A, G. Okay, now we're going to do a whole new segment. Yep, that's as much as I'm going to show you. you don't need any more. Okay? If you're going what, then you need to rewind. Okay? So here's a new place. The same 3 chords, new place. Okay? Some of you will start to run out of guitar pretty soon if you're on acoustic guitar, because normal acoustic guitars will stop right after this one. Okay? Now here's where we go to use our F shape again. But now we're going to use an F shape chord where the D would be. Okay? Now, simply, if you guys aren't familiar with this territory on your guitar, and if you were, you wouldn't be watching this video, would you? Here's the F shape, but where do I put it? Where do I put it? Well, you probably should know, and you probably do know, that at the 12th fret where the double dots are, not these back here, your actual double dots that you'll see on the side of your guitar there. That's where the guitar starts over. So if you have an open E string, and you go to the 12th fret on the high E string, that they're both E notes, right? Okay, so backward from E, 2 fret, that is your D. There's E, E flat, and D. So then, just like your F, you know, that's your E, there's your F, so then you make that F shape, and you have an F. There's a G on your E string, so you make the G. There's the A note on your E string, so you start there and you build your F shape, and you have your A chord. Same thing. Up 2 more, you got B with the F shape. Up 1 more, you got C, because there is no such thing as a B sharp. And up 2 more, hey, there you go. We're all the way up to the 12th fret with this finger, but you have D chord. If you're playing an F shape, it's just because, just like you're playing an F here, and a G here, and an A here, and a B, and a C, move it up here, and you're D. Okay, so now we're using the F shape. Okay, now we're going to use F shapes and A shapes for the next set of 3 chords. So there's your D chord. Just play an F shape, but be barring across at the 10th fret. Then the 11th on the G string and the 12th fret on the D string. Now we're sounding pretty. Remember again, now that we're playing these F shapes, we can use our pinky on the 12th fret, because that's the fret that our ring finger is on. So you can do that. Now it gets easier, much easier to bring that pinky up 2 more frets, because the frets are a lot closer together now. So now you can really get up there and make some twinkly sounds. Pretty groovy. Okay, now we're going to use F. Okay, now this is going to happen every time we do these things. Every time you make these different shapes, these other ones will always go together. So if you're making F shapes to begin with, the next 2 chords, as I teach them to you to begin with, will be the A shapes. Now we're back to knowing that here's G. Okay, that's at the 12th fret, doing your D, G, and B string with 1 finger. And then how do we get to the A? Move it up 2 frets. Back to G, and back to D. Okay, so you have okay, what have I told you before? Remember the last chord of what we did before. So you have to remember what was that A chord before I just now made you do all this. Okay, I gotcha. Okay, so we were doing D, G, A. So we were doing this, D, G, A. So it was one of those funky looking things, which is kind of this C chord looking, you know, mutilation. So again, we are back here at D, G. You can, if you, like I showed you before, if you don't want to go all the way up with this finger, flatten out your ring finger. So here's G, D. If you want to go D, I'm sorry, you are in D. Now G, just flatten out the finger if you want, because if you're going to do the chord I'm getting ready to show you, that's the best way to do it. So here's D again, G. Now before we did the A, which was this. Then back to the G, this, G, and back to D, sorry. To G, the A before, back to the G, and D. Okay, so there's all these to put together. So now we have D and G, if you want to go this route. There's A. Okay, now I'm going to keep on cruising. And now if you take this and finish it up, if you have enough guitar left, just like we did at the beginning, to make that D chord or C chord, it's the same stuff over and over again. So we're on A. Now we are on D again. So we're back to the beginning of the whole thing. And if you're on electric guitar, you keep going up from what we've already started because we have come full circle. This is where we started, but it was an octave way up here. So we went, recap, from D to G to A to D. Then D to G to A to D. Then from D to G to A, back to D. Now we're back to the beginning. If you keep continuing, just like from the beginning, now from D to G to A to D. And you can add your peaky. If you have a 22nd fret that you can reach, you do if you have an electric guitar that has 22 frets, some don't. But acoustic players probably don't. This one has 24, oddly enough. Okay, so that is the whole string of that. Okay, I told you this was going to be amazingly simple, and it does not take much to remember this. Okay, so that is it. Is this the whole lesson? Of course not. There's all kinds of things to cover, and I'm going to cover them. But you have just made the biggest progress probably that you have made in the past, however, since the day you first picked up a guitar. Okay, so now we have to actually learn to use these to play. Okay, you know where the chords are now, but what do you do with them? You do with them what you've always done with chords. Okay, you just have to get used to playing these chords in different keys. Okay, so you're like, okay, what do I do? Okay, now check this out, kids. Exactly what you've just done. Use the same mentality, okay, to think this through. Think it through with me. I told you we were going to learn to play in keys like B flat and E flat and all this weird stuff, because women tend to sing in B flat or E flat almost every song. It's just where a woman's voice is. So if you are a lady, or you ever have to back up a lady by playing guitar, then you can easily play these without the use of a capo. Okay? Where is an A chord? Regular A chord. Again, we already know that. Duh, it's right there, right? But if you wanted to, before I came along, and before all this new stuff came along, and you wanted to play in B flat, you would always have to grab a capo, put it here on the first fret, and then try to play A and D and whatever, and play your chords, because you didn't know what the heck you were doing. Okay? You still don't. But you're getting ready to in just 2 seconds. Okay, so you were playing an A here. One more is B flat. One more what? One more up. Because you would have put your capo on the first fret and then just played an A. So your A would have been here instead of here. So now you just play your A here. Then just to go to the next chord, whatever that would be, guess what? It's going to be an E flat. How do you get to it? Well, I've already showed you. You just make the next, that kind of chord out of it. That always follows an A chord or an A shape. Okay, again, this whole video is based on shapes. So here you are in B flat now. Now the next chord, just do this. Well, now what do? You go up 2 frets. Okay, now if you ever need to go for that extra, you don't want to go real high sounding like that from B flat to E flat to F. This is actually F. That's F. You know another F, don't you? Okay, this one. And again, that would have been the one that you would have learned before or played before had you been climbing all the way up like in the first example. So you're playing a B flat and then E flat by just doing this. Then back to B flat, then to F, and then B flat. You can just flatten that up. Okay, if you ever need a high note, grab your pinky whenever you're in an A shape, and then skip 2 frets. Okay, it's not really that far. Once, look, I could do it way up here. You can surely bring it back here. I can do it here. I can do 7 frets in between. So skip 2 frets and add it there, or you can bar it with your pinky. Okay, and again, remember you have all these other notes from this. You can go. If you're picking them, again, in B flat. You're like, when did you show me that? Rewind, you'll see. Okay, I just chose to use that F instead of the other F that we know, which is just there. So okay, now we're playing in E flat and B flat and all that. You pick out what you want to do. If you want to play in E flat, what do? Okay, here's where everything gets quick, because I have already shown you what I need to show you. You just have to think this out now. No, you don't. That's why you paid me. I get to think for you. E flat. How do we play in E flat? Oh my mercy! There's a million ways to do this. It's using what you already know. Okay. So now it's like, okay, do I have to play like this B flat thing, but I have to go all the way up here, and I know that's E, but that's E flat? Well, that's one way, or you can just stay where you already were. Here's E flat. Now play the F shape. Now up 2. And remember, if you want to make it sound bigger, put your pinky there and finish out what looks like a C chord. Now you're in E flat, but you're playing huge sounding chords. Now here is where everything's going to make a lot of sense to you. These F chords, or the F shapes that you're playing, those are abbreviated chords. Just like the word Mr., you just put MR dot, or Mrs., MRS dot. What is, okay, we are in E flat. By playing what was the D, but just up 1. So we're in E flat. Now we just go to the F shape, which is actually G sharp or A flat, whichever you want to call it. What is this an abbreviated chord for? Okay, for those of you who do not know, this is just a short version of a bar chord. B-A-R-R-E. If you haven't learned a bar chord yet, you're getting ready to learn one, because this is very important for huge chords. Okay, it is exactly this. Check it out. I'm going to take all this away. I want you to make an E chord, a regular E chord. This thing. This normally 3rd fret, 2nd fret, 2nd fret, right? But I want you to do it like you got your first finger chopped off. Oh my mercy, what do I do now? So I'm going to tell you what you're going to do. You're going to put your middle finger, 1st fret, G string, put your pinky, 4th okay, on your 4th string or your D string, 2nd fret, and then your ring finger right above it. Okay, so it looks like this. It's weird to play that, but that's going to leave your 1st finger as a capo. So you have your E chord. You move it up 1, and then put your finger across all 6 strings. Your 1st one, that's like a capo. If you're not used to playing these, get used to it, because you're going to play them for the rest of your life. So there's a huge F chord. F sharp. Next one, G. And then G sharp. Then A. Then A sharp. And then B. Go backward. B flat. People call them sharps as they're going up. So you have E, F, then F sharp, then G. But if you go backward, you wouldn't call it G. It's G flat. It's no longer F sharp. It was F, then F sharp, then G. But if you go backward once again, it's no longer F sharp. It's G flat, because you're going flat. So F sharp and G flat are the same chord. Just depending which direction you're going. So, interesting, huh? Okay, so what does this mean? Okay, you are playing in E flat. And you're making it big by putting your pinky there. Right? But now you go into this, what is this? A G sharp. But it's thin sounding. It's not a full sounding chord. So you do exactly what I just showed you. Continue that bar all the way across and finish that E chord with it. And that becomes your bar chord. Then you take that whole thing and move it up 2 frets. Okay, so there's your E flat. Now your G sharp. Now your A sharp. Or there I am. Okay, so you see where I'm going with this. Okay, so the F shape can always be made, especially when you're playing way up here and it gets all real thin sounding. You can play the whole chord, all 6 strings, by making an E chord and capoing it. Instead of the F chord, you finish out the whole bar. And I mean, your chord is already made, your E chord. It's got to finish this out. And all of a sudden the chord becomes huge. Okay, see where this is going? This is amazing stuff. Okay, so there is a lot more to go here. Okay, so what I'm going to do here real quick is show you, since we are playing in a weird flat key, and I'll get you out of here in a second, but you need to know how to do this. This is half the purpose of this, to play in weird keys that I promised you at the beginning of this, where you could actually throw your capo away. This is how you do it. So, but you can pick any E flat. You don't have to be that E flat. It can be this one again. Okay, so there's D chord. It looks like an A shape, but it's a D. You're basing it on your G string. So you're taking that note, just like you had your A note. So then A sharp, B, C, C sharp, D, now E flat. Now from what I have showed you so far, you can play E flat. Now by doing this, okay, so you can finish playing them that way. So E flat. After you put it down, if you want it bigger, of course, put the pinky down. And you got huge chords. Back to your E flat. Now you can play the F shape right behind it and start with your 1st finger here. That's how you find it. If you want to play the F shape behind the A shape, okay, as your 3rd chord. Keep this in mind, very important. Back to the E flat. What am I going to do? How do I play the F shape behind it? Where do I start? Where do I start? You put your ring finger where this whole mess is. So put your ring finger there on the D string, and then finish up your F chord, or F shape. Then how do you get back to wherever that first finger was stretched across? Back to that same finger. So there. See what I'm saying? Back to the A shape. Your F shape is going to start with that first finger where that one was. So you put your ring finger there and finish your F shape. Okay, so now here's where you go backward from everything that you learned. This is very, very crucial. Back to that E flat. So that chord there is actually a G sharp. Back to the E flat. To the A sharp. Now if you want to go the back 2 frets and then back to your original shape we did way back here before we decided, okay, we don't want to use this E flat, we want to use this one. Okay, so we just went from to this to the F shape and then tied it all back together. So we're using these shapes that just keep happening over and over again. Okay, so the same shapes keep following each other. As you play them backwards, you'll see what happens. So use the very, very first set of shapes that I showed you, and then play that whole thing backward, where I showed you the D, G, A, and then D, or D, then this one, G, A, then the F shape, D, then, so D, then G, then A. Now if you start playing this backward, and then play those backward. Now play those backward. Okay, going backward is what's going to tie all this together for you. Going up the neck is very easy, but practice each and every single thing that I teach you backwards and forwards. You do all of this for 1 week. 1 week of your entire life, and you will smoke all the greats. You know, it don't matter whether it's George Strait or whether it's Jimi Hendrix. I don't care. They didn't know this much this quick. You have the luxury of this now. Nobody will teach you this much stuff this fast. You will learn this whole video. There's plenty more to come. Don't think I'm stopping. Don't, because I'm not stopping until you're done. Okay, so there's plenty more of this type of thing to come, and I will make this a lot clearer. It seems like a lot's being thrown at you, but if you stop and pause and breathe and do a little bit of this each day, and don't try to take on this entire video in one day, you will be much, much, much better for it. But by the end of the week, you should have the whole entire video and never, ever need a capo ever again, and never be stuck beyond the 3rd fret. This way, you will get to play all over your entire guitar. That's why they put frets on the entire guitar. Not just for lead guitar players, but for guitar players, period. Okay? So, we're getting ready to head off to a new segment. Stick around. Don't go anywhere, because I'm not. Okay? Be right back. Okay, now the part that inevitably comes up with each of my lessons, especially a lesson that has to do with chords, and especially when I'm taking people's capos away and taking them into uncharted territories, are things like this. Well, what do I do about minor chords? Okay, because before you knew how to play minor chords, I'm assuming. If you didn't, groovy. You will now. Okay, and for all your regular minor chords, you can learn how to play these. I have my video. You can actually just go online and learn how to play all your minor chords for free if you want. You can print out a little thing, or you can get my any of my other lessons, ask me, or you can just simply get my basic theory lesson, and it will tell you how to make a minor out of everything in the world and why it's a minor, everything about it, and make you, really book smart about this whole thing. Okay? It's a wonderful lesson. Everybody should have the basic theory lesson under their belt. It's a wonderful thing. Okay, now what a minor is in relationship to everything that we have done so far. Okay, the simplest way for me to explain this so that we don't have to spend all day on it and for you to find your minor chord and then we can just move on will be this. Okay, if you are playing an A shape. Okay, now let's take this whole thing up to our D. On my chord it's the first set of double dots, but for you it'll just be the 7th fret. Okay, now the note that names the chord. Okay, if you're playing this A shape in A, where is the A note? It is on the G string, 2nd fret. That is the A note. So that is very proper and safe and correct to assume that when you bring it all the way up here to the 7th fret, that if you're playing a D chord, which this is, it is still that same G string that is the D note. So that is correct. So it is that. With every chord that I have showed you, okay, the string down towards the floor of any chord shape from the root note. The root note means the note that names the chord. So the root here is the D note. Here's the chord, these three notes. So the note that is towards the floor from the root note, so the next one down is that note. What you have to do to make that a minor is flat it. That means you take it down the neck one. Remember, down is this way, no matter what you think, because listen, it goes down. It doesn't go up, it goes down. So you have to flat it 1 fret to make your chord minor. So instead of this, for a D major, you would actually have to reconfigure your fingers to simply think it out for yourself. So now that note has to come back here. 1 note, so you have to change things around, and you'll probably have to play it just like an A minor chord. But now it's played here. Okay? So you just took that, had all 3 fretted here, but the only way to physically make it happen, you can't turn your finger and make it work that way. So you have to cover 1 string, cover your root note, and then the next string towards the floor, you have to flat it back 1. So now you have D minor. Okay, in the other shapes, just so that we cover them all. Let's do a G chord, but we're using the F shape. So here's F. Move it up 2 frets, we're in G. Okay, here's the thing. There are 2 root notes here. Okay, one of them being this. Okay, you are using the high E as a guide. Now you're taking it up 2 frets to the G. But there is another G here, and that's this one. On the D string. Okay, since there is no note below the high E string down towards the ground, well, we better find a note, a root note, a G note that has a string underneath it. So this one on the D string does have another string under there. It's your G string. So whatever you're playing in this F shape, which happens to be that note, you have to flat it 1. So it has to go back here. What's the simplest way to do that? Is simply bar across and lift that finger across. Because you already have it barred anyway. So just put the finger up, cover 3 strings, get rid of that one. So now you have G minor. Put your finger down, G major. Take it off, G minor, A minor. Okay? Okay, so those are how you get your minors. So in every instance, just find the root note, the note that names the chord, go to the string below it, towards the floor, and whatever note that is, flat it 1 note that way. Okay, that's all there is to it as far as minors go. So that should cover that for you. So if you're playing in B flat and you need to play B flat minor, you just need to, there's your B flat, go down one string, there it is. Okay, so you just have to do that. Okay, what was any other shape that we used? So just do that. You just find your root note, go one string down, flat it, there's your minor. Okay, enough done about that. Okay, now the other thing, I had touched on the infamous bar chords. Okay, I will rock right through this one because a lot of you probably know this, and for those of you who don't, this is crucial, but it is very easy to explain. So I had shown you that, like say the G chord again, since we're here, F shape, move it up 2 frets and it's a G, right? And I told you that if you want to extend this and make it a full bar chord, you take that finger that is already barring across 2 strings, bar it across all the strings, and then just simply make an E chord with the rest of your fingers, and then play all 6 strings. Okay, that is a G chord because it is just an extension of the G chord that we did here that's shaped like the F. We're just making it a full-blown bar chord. And these are imperative that you learn these, okay? Now here's what is weird, and I'm only going to say this a couple times and then move on because, again, rewind is your best friend. I'm not going to sit here and keep hollering the same thing over and over when you can rewind, okay? Tape is precious, I should say. Okay, so here you have G major. Okay, when you are playing a chord that is built off of this low E string, as we are, so there's your G note. If you want to make this a minor chord, you simply flip the bird. Okay, so just pull off your middle finger. That is the rule. Okay, that's it. So if you are playing a chord that is based with your root note on the low E string, and you're playing a full bar chord and you want a minor, take your finger off, your middle finger off. And that is G minor. Okay, put your finger back where it was in the form of an E chord, and that is your minor. Now the really weird thing about this whole thing, if we take this whole chord and drop it down one whole string, so everything goes down one string. Okay, everything. Did I mention everything? So every single note here. So you're on G here, now you're going down to C. Just because of the way that weird B string is tuned. Now if you actually play this, okay, because we were up here in G major, now if you drop the whole thing down one whole string, everything, now that is actually C minor because of the way the B string is tuned. You know how you play 5th fret to tune it? 5th fret, 5th fret, open string, 5th fret, open string, 5th fret, open string, then 4th fret to tune your B string. Okay, that's what screws everything up when you drop this whole chord down. Okay, so you have a major here, you drop everything down one string to C, so you were at G, C, D, 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 C, C, G, G, G. You see, I'm getting ready to show you all the chords here, and it's going to go by very fast. But G, major, C, when you drop the whole thing down, is minor because it is messed up because of the tuning of the guitar. So the way to make it major, okay, listen. It's cool, you can do that, but you have to take that finger and sharp it one. Make it with the others, because you have 2 fretted there on the 5th fret already. Now you need to add 3 of them. What's the easiest way to do it? Flatten out your ring finger. Or you can just add all 3 there like this. And actually get your high E string in there. Okay, so that's how you make that major. It's just weird. And then to make it back minor, it looks like an A minor if you were to move it all the way down. But just the way the guitar is tuned, okay? So, to find your 3 chords using bar chords, it will be no different than anything else. But here's the cool thing, is if you're in G now, just drop the whole thing straight down for the next chord. There's your C, then up 2, there's your D, back to here. Or if you're playing straight rhythms like this, okay, everything applies to the old F shape, with the pinky being able to play everything that is on the same fret as the ring finger. Why? Because this is simply an extension of that same chord, so you can still do that. Okay, so everything still applies. Nothing has changed. Okay, now here's the other thing. This ties more together. Again, remember, you have to take all of this stuff and do it little by little. This is tying more together for you. When you drop it down to C, we did a C before, but that was just playing it here. Okay, now we're just making it bigger by adding one more note. Okay, so now if you actually do it this way, I showed you that before. Those are the notes that you can add. I showed you that a long time ago. So if you're playing in G with the bar chords, now you go to C, okay, so you can get out of that C shape, go to the A shape, and then back here, extended F shape, okay, then up 2 from the C, okay, so that's just that pinky doing what it does, but out of that bigger chord. You see where I'm going with that? It should all start to make sense. Okay, so now we have all these tools, but what do we do with them? We play our songs, but again, it is very selective on you. You have all this new information now. Okay, you are no longer confined to 3 chord places. You can play what are called different voicings all over the guitar now. You're like, no, we're only like an hour into this thing. What do I know? You know everything you need to know. You really do. And let's simply drill this home. Okay, so you have, let's do this. Let's go back to, let's pick a new key, okay, just for fun. Let's pick the key of A. So we're going to do 3 chords that we haven't messed around with yet, just for whatever. A. So if you're playing a 3 chord song, let me see if I'm even in tune. There we go. Okay. A. D. Okay, so now we're going to use everything that we have learned thus far. Okay, so now we're going to learn that we have the A, and what's the easiest way to play it? Right there where you're at. Okay, so you can play the A shape over the A. How novel. Okay, very easy. we are going to do exactly what I've already showed you. Just to run through this one more time, but just in a different key. That's all. Then you can do all the rest on your own, because this is kind of throw you in the water and let you swim. So I'm going to show you in a different key. That's all. Everything that we've done. So we're in A using the A shape. Now the next chord is going to be D. So it's A, D, and E all the way through. We know that because chords, you know, in songs that are in A are generally A, D, and E. Okay, so A, how do we get to a D? We do, without using what we normally play, without using regular chords. I know you love people who do this. Without using regular chords. Okay, you do that thing where you do that voodoo that you do so well. Put those two fingers down, that's right. 3rd fret on your B string and 4th fret on your D. Okay, so you had A. You're adding in your open A string because you always want to make the biggest chord you can. Now you do the D. You can play 4 strings. Now what do? Go 2 frets higher. That is an E chord, so you can put your finger kind of against that A string so you shut it up, but let your low E string come through. Why? Because we're playing an E chord. Okay, get it? It's bigger. Back to D, A. Okay, so you have A, then this thing, D, move it up 2, you're back to E, and now finally back to A. But we've already worked our way up the neck. A, D, E. Now we can finally rest on A again. It's just the next natural thing that is closest to you, to your hands. A, D, E. Now if you think about it, that note that is on the high E string is only one note from the A. Okay? You gotta think of these things. So you're hearing E, look at the chord. Okay, it's like I want to go to A. What is the closest thing to A? Well, it's that note. And we know if we just play that note, we can use the F-shaped looking chord and play it. And we have an open A string, so we can do that. Or we can play the big bar chord version of it. Whatever you want to do. Okay, again, A, D, by doing this, E, and then A. Now if we want to go from A, D again, and E again, we got A, and we're going to continue up the neck. So A, what do we do here every time? Okay, it's a consideration anyway, is to flatten your ring finger in order to remind you of what it is that you can do. So flatten it, or hurry up and switch your first finger to what that would be if you were to flatten it. So A, then D. Okay, it just looks like an A chord, A shape. Then move it up 2. So there's your E. Add in a low note, and then from there back to our friend. Whenever we use an A shape. Okay, now we're back to A, and we have an open A string. So we can make this thing sound huge. You gotta kind of think of these things. It's like, do I have any open strings? They can make it sound bigger. Okay, so you went from A that looks like an F shape. You're thinking, wow, I could flatten that, which you can, to D, or A to D, and then take that whole thing, move it up again, E, with a low E. There we go. Then, okay, from the A shape, you always just add those 2 notes back on, and add an A note on, if you can, with the A, open A string, and then you're back to A again. Then from there, what do? We go from this kind of shape, always to an F shape. So A, and then move it to a D, or a F shape. So A, or the C looking shape. So our A chord, to an F shape, goes to D. That's a D note. See, there's E, double dots, back to is D. So A, move it up 1 fret is all you actually got to think in your head. A, move it up 1 fret and make an F shape. D, now E, add in the low E because you got an E string. And what do you do after that? Flatten it. Okay? Or, and then you're back to where you were. You're at A again. Just where we started. Okay, again, so quickly as a review. A, D, E, then A. Okay, we're back to F shape. Now we go F shape, A, flatten it out, or change fingers. D, up to, E, then add these 2 fingers, and you're back to A. Then from there, add the low note. Now D, we just kind of move it up 1 fret and make the F shape. Then E, up 2 more frets. Whatever chord it is, move it up 2 frets. Then flatten the note, or put the 1 finger there, whatever it would be if you were to flatten it. Then you're back there again. Then you can start all over. A, D, E, A, A. It just keeps going. Okay? So it just keeps going and going and going. A, and then you got a D, and or A, D, flatten it out. So it just keeps going and going. So no matter what key you're in, whether it's a flat key, we can go to A flat, and it don't matter. It does not matter. A flat. Okay? Then go to next chord, whatever it is, who cares? Because you know how these shapes work together. A flat, shape, up 2, and then the F shape. Then the F shape, flatten it, or move the finger, then up 2, then add these 2. Then here, F shape by moving it up 1, move it up 2, then flatten it. Then that there, add these 2, up 2, okay, then the F shape. Say, I don't know what any of the chords were, they just went by, but because of those shapes, you can play anything, any key, without the capo. You don't need it, okay? And then you have all these other notes that I showed you earlier. You're playing in whatever key this is, A flat. Also like, well, okay, if I want to play in bar chords in A flat, I just have to find the low A flat on my low E string. Sometimes you just have to know what the notes are. Okay, that's not too much to ask. It's like that's an A, because if I want to tune my guitar, I have to go A, go back 1, then make the bar chord out of it. So there's A flat, then move it all down, but you can't do it all down because this could be minor, so you have to flatten it. So you have A flat, D flat, up 2, okay, so it's just that easy, kids. That's, you know, I don't care if you're 80, I call everybody kids, so don't think I'm some kind of weird person who has to put a sign in his yard for children. I'm not. It's just that's where I'm from. I call everybody kids. Okay, so it is that simple. Okay, now let's take everything we have and apply it and make some music out of this. And this is going to be using some of the stuff I've already shown you, and it's just going to make it all pop together quicker. Again, these are just 3 chord things. The rest of this you will be able to figure out on your own with no problem. If there's a 4th chord or a 5th chord in there, they're so easy to find just using this method. For example, just real quick, if you're in A again, here, and D, and now you have to go up to a B, what do you do? Well, B is only 2 frets past A. You got A sharp B, so you got A, the D, and E, back to D, back to A. Now you gotta go to B. Okay, so it's just learn this new way of forming your chords is all I'm trying to say. Okay, you already have your typical way of playing chords. Now embrace these new ways because they will get you everywhere, and incorporate them with what you already play. Do not ever give up on the regular chords. This is not to take place of your chords. This is to enhance your chords. Okay, to enhance whatever you're doing. So if you are playing, okay, it's time to tie all this together. If you are playing in the key of A, okay, I haven't changed any of the chords, I'm just playing a whole bunch of A's. But now you know where they're all at. It can be here, it can be here, it can be the shorter version, here, it can be what looks like a D chord, here, or what is this looking chord. Then add your pinky to make it bigger, or it can be way up here, or it can add a pinky here, or it can be this F shape here. It can be all of these amazing things that I've shown you. Okay, it can be this. Okay, it can be an E chord that is simply up here now. Okay, but you add a bar behind it. You had an E chord, now you just put it up here, put a bar all the way across the 5th fret starting on the A. Now it's this. And your pinky can go everywhere. Okay, so it's used to enhance things. Take them to different places. Okay? So, that's all it's about. Let's do other things with these. Let's put a little bit of melody in with these different chords, just to show you what can happen when you are in these different places. Okay, so let's do the A thing, okay, as an F shape. So you're at the 5th fret, then build your F chord, and you can add your A string, add your pinky on the G string. I don't have to tell you what fret because they're all going to be right here on the 7th fret, same as your ring finger like I told you earlier. Okay, now it don't matter, you could be playing chords. You're like, hey, music finally, an hour and a half later. Yeah, but we have to get the knowledge behind us first. Okay, it's just the way things are. You gotta walk before you can run. So there's your, we're starting to run now. It's up to you now, but you couldn't play this before, could you? Because you're going, Hunter. You didn't know what else to do, because you were stuck in the first 3 frets. So now we are playing chords beyond the first 3 frets, just as the title said, and as I promised, so you don't get your money back, because you know what you're doing now. So, nah, it's mine. I get to go out and buy 1 gallon of gas. Ooh. Okay, so now we're just playing that A chord. Adding the pinky. That's the same as going A to D here. You can do this. Your A. Just flattening out your ring finger. A to D. Okay, same thing. If you're going A, D, E. Okay, remember this in every aspect of playing. Other chords that you already know. A, D. You can take that D chord, move it up 2 frets, and it's E. You don't have to go A, D, E. You can go A, D, E, D, A. Okay? And then you end up an A here, but as an F shape. You don't have to keep going back to home here Okay? So there's all kinds of cool things. It's just unlimited now. Now you can do your A here. Or you can do it here. You're like, huh? Yeah, you've already seen this. From here to here to here to here. You're back to A. So A to D. Okay, makes sense? A to D. So I need you to sit around and do things like that. I'll go, okay, I just need to go A to D to drill this in my Kanagan. A to D. A to D here. Or go to A to D here. Do them everywhere. Everywhere you can figure out the chords. Again, A, D, or go A to D here. Or A to D here. Or you can do A to D here. Okay, but you need to do them everywhere. You can do A here. Because you know all these. Or A to D here. It don't matter, but you have to know them all. And it's not just to show you, well, I could do this one. The goal is not to get you up to here. The goal is to get you to learn every chord in every possession. Okay, that's the ultimate goal. You're going to learn A here, A here, A here, 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 and here. Okay? That is the ultimate goal. Is to learn every chord everywhere on the neck. See, what I've done is tricked you to learn everything. And it's not hard. These are just simply the shapes that are used to make the chords possible everywhere on the neck. There are only 3 or 4 total different chord shapes that you have to know in order to conquer the neck from your 1st fret to your 24th fret or whatever you have. Okay, so yes, there was a little devious thing behind all of this that you're finding out. It's teaching you to play all the chords in every possible place on your guitar. And that's what you need to know before you can throw your capo away. You need to be able to play competently and confidently in all these different shapes, but then know what they are. Okay, so it will take a little bit of doing on your part. I've done my part. Now you got to do your part. Am I done yet? Not quite. Okay, so this is the sinister plan, is to teach you all the chords all over the entire guitar. Okay, so now I have given you the tools to do that. You can now actually play in any key in the world. Okay, you're like, huh? Yeah. What key can you not play in? You're like, I don't know, C sharp? Yeah, you can. Let's do it. Let's play in C sharp. Okay, let's do it starting with an A shape. Okay, so we know with the A shape, that G string names the chord. So we got to find C sharp if we're going to do an A shape. Okay, so C is actually A sharp, B, C, C sharp. So now all we have to do is know that and nothing else. That is C sharp, by golly. Now we can play an A shape. Okay, we're playing a C sharp already. What's the next chord? You just put this down, the same as we did. Now go up 2 frets. Now back. Okay, you already knew all 3 chords. What are they? Who cares at the moment? You can play there. All you had to do is, real quick, you did not have to grab a capo, and you can play the 3 chords in the song. You can play this, then the next chord, then back to C sharp. Now if you don't want to go up 2 frets with the other chord, you can start right there on that same fret, remember? the F shape, we start the F shape on that same fret. Okay, it's that easy. You can play any key you want, and then you can keep building it up. Okay? Okay, all of a sudden we're in C sharp way up here. How did we get there? Because we know these same shapes over and over again. And from the F, you do the flatten out thing. If you flatten it out, or put the finger there. If you flatten it out, then up 2, then put that down. And you're in C sharp still. You don't know what chords they are. Who cares at the moment? You can figure them out. Here's C sharp again. Okay, this is actually going to be E, F sharp. So C sharp, F sharp. And then if I go G, G sharp. So it's C sharp, F sharp, and G sharp. But we don't have to care because we know the shapes and how to get around. C sharp. Then now whatever's next. Now the next chord. Now up to C sharp again. Now 3 different chords. C sharp. Now the next chord. Up 2. Now we do the C sharp. Now the F shape. Now flatten it out. Okay, we've went all over the place, so we don't even know what the heck we're doing, but by golly, we know the shapes. And we got around and we did not screw up. And you can't screw up if you play these shapes. Okay? And like I said, if there's more than 3 chords, then figure it out as you go. Okay, you're in C sharp. Back to C sharp. Now go backward and do the F shape. Starting from there. Okay, now what to do? Okay, or this. Okay. Or the whole thing. It's just like a C, but you go C sharp and add the capo, your finger, not the real capo. Okay, so this is the beauty of all this. Okay, you can see where it's going now. Okay, now let's add some real fun to it. These being, and I will do the ballad thingy just because I want to show you all the little fingers and little tricks that go with each little chord. Okay, so let's do, I don't know, let's go to C with a shape. Okay, so 5th fret. Okay, again, you can do these fingers. Okay, all this. Am I going to show you that real quick? Yes, some of it I've showed to you. So here we go. You're at, I'm going to name the frets and the string. So on your D string, 5 and 7. 5 and 7 means your 5th fret and 7th fret. Okay, you've already got the bar there, meaning it's barred there for the C shape. So 5, 7, G string 5, 7. Okay, so again, D string 5, 7, G string 5, 7. Now your B string is 5, 6, 8. Okay. So now we have. Now your E string, and this is going to be the same for every time you use an A shape. The same pattern. Now it is 5, 7, 8. Okay, it was 5, 6, 8. Now it's 5, 7, 8 on your high E string. Okay, so. And backward. And then always end up on the G string if you can, because that's the note that you're in, or you are in the key of C. Okay, these can be lead things or they can be rhythm things, but that is the scale that you can use when you are playing in an A shape. Okay, so I'm going to show you all the little things you can use with each shape. So if you're playing in B flat, same thing, just use that same this will work every time, okay? So this is the quick fun stuff here for the last 20 minutes. Okay, so we're in C. Okay, the thing to remember is that your home plate, your safe zone, are these three notes that you have right here all along. The three notes, the triad, as it's called, the triad, that makes up your chord. Your root, your fifth, and your third. What is that? That is on the basic theory video. That will teach you that, so go get that video too. I have to upsell, you know, it's what we do. It's what I do for a living, so yeah, I gotta tell you to go buy the other one too. But to learn all that, this is just what's called a major scale. Do, re, mi. Okay, so now if you are finger picking and you're playing here with this C, you have all this stuff now that you never knew how to do before this video. You were sitting there going, now you can do this. That's right, you can play more than one of these notes together. But those are the notes you can play. It's just a matter of what order you want, and then always come back. If a note sounds goofy, it's not wrong, it's that you're sticking around too long on a note that is not one of these three safe notes. Okay? And if you are in the F shape, another way of playing C, which is all the way up here at the 8th fret, 8th, 9th, 10th, so the C chord here. Again, remember, they are just all the notes that are underneath your ring finger, but with your pinky. Then stretch 2 more frets with your pinky. With your A shape, you can do those. Okay, and even if you're just playing rhythm, you can add one note at a time. You don't have to be all busy. Busy meaning too many notes. You can just add one note in here, there. See, I'm just doing that one note here, and just pick one. See what sounds good. Okay? That's the secret to writing tunes or playing tunes. It's not overplaying, it's just knowing that you have these choices. Okay? Same thing if you're playing in this F shape, but you're still in C. Just because you can play doesn't mean you have to. Just means you can pick that if you want, or you have notes to pick from in order to accomplish whatever it is your little heart desires. Okay? The other shapes are, like say we were in C here, let's go to F. Okay, now what this actually is, okay, we went from the C here, now we're going to the next chord. I want you to kind of think of this as now, for lead purposes or note purposes, as basically a D chord. Okay, you know what a regular D chord looks like. Okay, so take this, C, add the notes. Now look at it, get rid of this finger here. Now it is basically a D chord. Make a D chord out of it. For those 3 notes. Okay? So look at it again. It was this, now it's this. Get rid of this finger for this demonstration. Now if you make a D chord out of this, just like this, but do not play your D string, otherwise you get all this weird stuff. But the things you can play, these notes. Okay, so you're here. Here's your safe notes. Your 3 safe notes. You're in C, now you're in F. So now your 3 safe notes are these. That is your F triad. And you can just move that forward and go to G. So you can go to that. C, make a D chord, go to F. You're just not adding the extra note. Okay, and what's cool about this is you can always add in your pinky really quick, directly underneath of, again, underneath of your ring finger. And it's a real quick way to make some cool sounds. And again, putting that pinky 2 frets more. You have to make that stretch. If you can't make it, it is not because your fingers are too short. It's because you have your wrist or your elbow in some funky place. You just have to relax your stuff and it will come to you. It is not that you have to stretch your fingers. It is none of that bull that people have been feeding you. Your pinky will reach. It doesn't have to grow. It doesn't have to stretch. It's that your muscles just have to get used to doing it, and your elbow or your wrist or a combination of the two, I can't tell you how it happens. It will just happen, and you will be able to make that. But anyway, now that you are looking at what is basically a D chord, okay, again from C to F, pull off the ring finger and now make the D chord out of it, and think this way. You have to think this way because this is the way you learn. The notes again are what you see. So those 3. But the other ones are... Okay, so you have the first note. Now I want you to actually play these notes as individual notes instead of in the chord. So here on the G string, then the note that was fretted here at the 6th fret on the B string. Now the 8th fret. Now the note that was originally part of your home thing here. 5th fret on the E, okay. Now 6th fret, now 8th fret. Okay, again, that's part of the pinky going underneath, and then the pinky up 2 frets. That's all it is, but you're playing them this way. And if you end on the last note on the B string, that is your F note. So those are all the notes you have. You don't have to play it like that so it sounds, you know, all goofy like that. You just know that you have those notes to choose from. So if you're picking along, I just added one more in. It's the 7th fret on the G string. Okay, so you don't have to take the chord off. You can add the notes as you see fit. And the great thing about this is you've already got it there. Now when it's time to go from F to G, you just go up 2 frets and do everything again. That is one way of showing you. You see how this comes together now. So C, F, and G are no longer as boring as stuck in the first 3 frets. You know how to get past it now. So now you can go C, F, and G, then C, F, and G. And then C, F, and G. then C, F, and G. You can just keep going and going and going and learn all these new positions. So again, this is not to take place of the original chords. These are the root chords. These are the main deal. These are the meat and potatoes. Everything else is dessert that I have taught you. And a way to add different things. If you have one guitar player just playing C's here, going and playing that way, you don't have to be playing the same thing. It's actually best if you're not playing what another guitar player is playing. Play these other notes or these other chords instead. Okay? Two people playing the exact same thing is never, ever, ever a good thing. Nobody will be exactly in tune with each other, and it will sound like garbage. Nobody will strum at the same time. So pick different times to strum or play some lead stuff. What do you mean play lead? Do this. Christmas out on us, I don't care. Everything I just showed you, you can do that. Okay, so everything I've showed you enables you to learn that even. Christmas songs are some of the best things to learn melodies, sound them out, but you don't have to guess which notes will be in there because they can only be the notes that I showed you within each shape. Okay, so that is the lesson. Here comes my fancy trick photography. You like that? Wasn't that great? Okay, so there you go. That is how to get past the first 3 frets. And it's just those same 3 basic chords. You know, you got your A shape, your F shape, and then you have the little shape where you add a note, you know, a couple notes to your A shape, which kind of ends up being a C shape thing, or you can make it look like a D shape thing. Whatever you want to call that, I don't care, whatever you want to call it. And that's how you work then. And all the little fun lead notes to put in there, or just to add some flavor, those are the notes that will not fail you. They will work everywhere, every time, always over the shapes. So it's all about the shapes. You don't even have to know the names of the chords in order to play the songs. You'll know them all eventually, but this gets you out of the gate quicker than any other lesson will, and teaches you all the chords. Like I said, before you even know the names of the chords. You know, it's like, what a wonderful, is it a cheat? No, it's a way to learn and learn fast. You can go back and analyze it all you want and then realize why everything is what it is. Okay, so that's it, dudes, you know, and dudettes, you know, for any of the ladies watching. Sure, when you're sitting around a campfire, best thing is always going to be to play those little, you know, your chords down here with your 3 frets. Okay, right down there. That's just what's always going to sound best. But for you to excel as a musician, to play along in a band or to play along with any other guitar player, you have to know more than just how to play here. Otherwise everybody's playing the same thing and it becomes a big cluster, you know what. And there's just other things that could be played that will make things just sound so much better. You're going to be so much more knowledgeable in 1 week than you can possibly imagine. Okay, so again, I kid you not, please do sit in front of TV. I don't care if it's Jeopardy or if it's South Park or if it's 700 Club or what it is you watch on TV, or if you take your guitar with you in on the toilet. Now, I don't think I didn't as I was growing up. You know, as I was a kid, I stayed in that bathroom for hours, and it wasn't for any reason that you're thinking. It's because I had my guitar on my lap, and it sounds good in there. The acoustics are cool. You got natural reverb like this. Cool, huh? That's the way it sounds, you know, in the bathroom. It won't smell like that, but it sounds like that. But that is an amazing way to teach you, as faster than anybody ever can, how to get all these chords all the way up and down the neck. So learn them forward and backward. That's just the 3 little, they're called inversions. And again, the A shape, this shape, move it up 2, then you're playing the F shape, flatten it out, move it up 2, then right back to where you was, then the F shape again, up 2. And you just keep doing that, and then play it backwards, forwards, realize which chord is an A, which one's an A again, when you hit A again, when you hit A again. Before long, you'll say, okay, I know A in like 10 different places. I know it like this, but I also know it as a full bar chord. I know it here. I know it looks like a D shape here, but I can play it this way too, and I can play it with one finger here. I can play it. You can play it everywhere. And after you just do it a few times, it will be stuck in your head forever. It's just like learning a new word. You know, so do a little bit of this each day, and in 1 week, you will not believe how cool things sound when you substitute even one chord. Don't do all these chords. This is just everything you can do. Don't do it all in one song. Just grab, instead of a D chord here, then back to here. Just use it now and then. Just use it as you need it. But now you're going to know that you can do it a million places all over the guitar, and each one has benefits to it. And then you have little cool little lead licks you can put in, or just flavor with one of those notes that I showed you in these little scale things. You can just add one little note in there, and it will change the whole sound of the song if you want it to. It's all about what you want, but these are the ways to get what you want. Okay, so again, don't blow your entire fireworks show up. You don't do your finale by doing everything I just showed you. You just sprinkle it out and make it cool throughout the whole show, or throughout the whole song, just little pieces of it here and there. That's where it's really tasty. You don't want to give away your whole bag of tricks, you know, right out the get-go. So once again, this is Scott Grove with Groovy Music Lessons, and there's your guitar chords beyond the first 3 frets. Okay, hope you enjoyed it. Come back, request videos you would like to have, some lessons you'd like to have. Check out all my free lessons. There are hours and hours and hours of them. Get things as downloads. You can buy the whole 160 plus hours of all my videos on a hard drive, whatever you want. I've got it. You can get them from Macs, PCs, everything. If you have a question, just ask me. I will get to it. It may not be in the first or second day, but I will get to your questions. I run this whole operation by myself, but I will get to it. Okay, so once again, Scott Grove, I hope you had half the fun I did showing you this. I wish I was around to watch all this sink in, and then when your light bulb goes off, that's when you're going to write me back and say, thanks for that, dude. And I'm going to feel proud. So make me proud, learn all that stuff, and take it easy. Take a little bit by little bit. Okay? Once again, take care and be groovy. Bye-bye.